Welcome to Read Between the Wines, where two bibliophiles discuss our love of the written word from cover to cover and cork to glass. Pour yourself a beverage and join us for this week's episode. Cheers! Earn your keep.
Earn your keep.
Welcome back to Read Between the Wines. Today we're going over books to movies.
Who doesn't love a book to movie? Are you a book or a movie girl?
I'm always a book girl. I have to be talked into a movie.
Oh?
Because it feels like so long to commit. Whereas a book's going to take me a week to read. Right? But it takes so long for me to commit to like a 2.5 hour movie that I'm like, I don't want to. What if I hate it? What if I get in and it sucks? Like,
makes sense.
Like, I cannot, but there are so many book to movies that I love, but I like the like adaptations of them, right? So you've got one of my favorites. Isn't really a book to movie as much as it's a movie about the writing of a book.
Okay.
And it's Finding Neverland, which is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I have 3 movies that I watch when I need to feel feelings. One is Finding Neverland, one is The Holiday, and one is Ever After.
Oh.
And Finding Neverland is basically about, Mr. Barry and his relationship with this family of boys who he has modeled Peter Pan after.
Mm-hmm.
And as it becomes a play and as it becomes all of these other things, Johnny Depp is in it. Like, it's one of those that's just, I will watch that movie every day of my life if I need to. Okay. And I don't watch movies over and over again, right? I just don't. I don't do it. And there are a lot of, I go both ways. There are a lot of books I've read, but movies I've never seen. And there are a lot of movies I've seen and books I've never read.
Yes.
Like most recently, Dune.
Yes.
I've not read Dune. I love the movies. But I've not read it.
I will tell you, I saw the first Dune, and I needed more.
Yes, because it took a little time.
Wanted a little bit.
Took a little time to get there.
The timing, there was so much space in it. And so much, it felt like time skipping.
Okay.
Where we were, years later.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, and I knew that they were coming out with a second one like a year or 2 years later, however it does. And my husband had read the books. He has the whole series. And he was like, if you need a little bit more filler, he was like,
fill it in.
The movies, plural, both of them, are going to cover book 1.
Book 1 only. And when I heard that, I was like, are you kidding me?
1. And I think there's 5, 6 books. I'm seeing them on the shelf, but I can't remember how many there are. And so I immediately snapped it up because I needed more.
Okay.
And as I read the book, the pacing is the exact same.
Oh.
It feels so very close to the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I mean, just part of me hates that, but part of me doesn't.
Right? I was really hoping that I would get a little extra. Right. Or that I would learn a little more, or that I would be satiated.
Right.
At this point. And no.
Dang.
So then when the second movie came out, we rushed to see it. Okay. Because I wanted to see how closely it fit with the book.
The second half of the book.
Right.
Second half of the first book.
Second half, first book.
Same as first. Yep. Thank you for picking up what I was putting down.
Exactly. Yes. So I was very interested to see it. And I still don't think that what the movies, plural both, have covered still finishes out book 1 yet.
I have heard that.
Yes.
So my kid said the same thing where he was like, hey, these are both in book 1.
Yes.
And you still have more of book 1 to finish. And
yes.
I was like, I'm sorry, what? But yes. But the thing is, there aren't very many movies that at the end make me sit up and go, what? Like,
3-hour movies at that.
I need more. Like,
3-hour movies
at
that.
And so in that instance, I could have been really mad.
Yeah.
But it also made me want to watch more.
Yes.
But I ended up seeing the movies within like 3 months of each other.
Well, that's good.
So I saw the first one.
Yeah.
And then a couple months later, we watched it when we watched Dune 2 when it came out
on
streaming.
Yeah.
So we rented it or whatever, which is great. I would much rather watch a movie that way than going to the theater.
It makes for a long day.
It does.
For sure.
So we definitely watched both of those.
Yes.
Also, I'm going to switch gears here because we've got 2 sets of movies that have pissed me off beyond belief.
Oh.
Right?
Tell me more.
You've got Harry Potter, which is going to upset a lot of people. I read all the books. We've talked about this briefly.
Yes.
I read all the books. I did not see all the movies.
Yes. Why?
Because they split the last movie into two. Or the last book into two movies.
Oh.
Oh, they did it with 3 different series. So they did that with Harry Potter.
They did it with Twilight.
They did it with Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
They did it with Hunger Games.
That is true. They did do that with Hunger Games.
And I will tell you, I've not seen any of those finale movies.
Oh.
Neither of the 2-parters, because if you're going to make it a 2-parter, but it was good enough for one book, but it's not good enough for one movie, the audacity you have. I have a problem with that. I understand there's a lot happening in it and blah, 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 but to me, it feels like you're just money grabbing.
Maybe, but also at that point, I don't think there were many other 3-hour movies.
No.
So you probably just didn't have time. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
That's nice of you. I don't.
Because I enjoyed
I would give it
all of those movies.
I would give it to Harry Potter for that, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's too long, too much happens. I wouldn't give it to Twilight because if you've seen that Twilight last movie, which I didn't actually watch the movie. I saw
You watched the
clips.
spoilers
I watched
online.
the spoilers online because I was like, I'm not doing that. I watched the spoilers, so if you know what happened, you know why it didn't need to be 2 movies. And then in Hunger Games, they knew better. We had longer movies by then. The Lord of the Rings had been a movie.
That is true. That is true. There are a lot of book series that are now movie series.
Yes.
And I feel, maybe it's cheating, but I have watched a lot of the movies.
Fair.
And not read the books.
Okay.
So Harry Potter, love the movies. Just recently got all the books.
I had all the books
So I'll start
first,
reading those.
They're cute.
Yeah.
They're cute. I got them when I was in middle school.
Yeah.
I think. High school, maybe? I got them as a gift when I was...
Yeah.
I remember reading them on the bus, frankly. Yeah. And so it had to have been middle school because I didn't ride a bus in high school, so it had to be middle school. So
that's good to know.
Right? I'm like, I didn't ride a bus in high school. But I do remember reading them on the bus.
Yeah.
Right? And so I love them. And the only time I've ever avoided social media was when the last Harry Potter book came out.
Oh.
Because I hadn't finished it yet and I didn't, MySpace was still big then.
Yep.
Dating myself. MySpace was still big. People were like...
You had to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, I had to avoid spoilers. I couldn't listen to the radio. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't, anything. Anything. Because I was like, I'm not doing that to myself until I finish the book. So it's the only time I've done that.
I think a lot of those came out, yes, when we were in middle school,
right,
early high school years, for a lot of these very popular book series that were turned into movies. And at that point, I was not such an avid reader because I had been forced to read books in school.
Not of your choosing.
Right. And so I didn't find enjoyment in reading. Mm-hmm. And so I was not like an avid book fan. And so when the movies came out, I was like, oh, I'll just consume the movies.
I'll just watch that.
They're all the same, right? Like, they're the exact same as the books. You don't know the
difference until you know the difference.
Right?
Like, and there isn't always a difference.
Right? Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been interesting. So I did see a lot of those as movies because it was a time I did not want to read a book, did not want to be told to read a book, and let alone, like, 7 Harry Potter books? Like, and those are big girls.
Yeah, they're not tiny.
No.
The first one's small, but other than that, you get some girth.
They get bigger as they go.
Yeah, they do. Which I appreciate, too. Like, I like that you start small and get bigger. Like,
now I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh no, she's not ready for those.
My oldest is just about at the age that I think he could appreciate the books where they are. I think my daughter would enjoy them if they were read to her. I think they're a little much for her to read on her own. Yeah. But I definitely think my son could do it. Yeah. I think he could do it. And part of me is like, do I introduce you to it? Because he's also not a fantasy person. He's not a super fiction person. He's not.
Can't do it.
Right. But he's not, he's historical. He likes nonfiction. He likes fiction about nonfiction topics. Like, not necessarily historical fiction, but he likes war history. You know what I mean? Those are things that he likes to read. Harry Potter's not war history. No. But I wonder if
that could be a good intro to magic and fantasy. So that might open a doorway.
Right. I have to see. I know I have all of the books. It's just the first one I think I had given to him. Like, I was going to read it to him when he was younger. So I put it with his stuff. I have to go find it now. Yes. There's one book series to movie that I never saw the movies, but I hated the books, which is why I don't watch the movies.
What? Which one?
50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yes. This was hugely popular back in the day.
It was hugely popular. And when I tell you, I read the first book and I cried through it. I was angry tears through that book because we all have our own personal experiences with life, right? And the way that she was treated in that book and just, I understand why it was written that way because of the way that community does things, or however you want to say that. I understand what they were trying to get at, but for me it was so foreign and felt so violating and so demeaning. I was so mad for her that I read through to the end of book 1 and I was like, I can't believe she would allow this.
I can't do it. Yes.
I can't. I read all 3 books. I suffered through all 3 books.
Oh, you did?
I read all 3.
Okay.
Read all 3, hoping it was going to get better. And there are people who they still love the movies. They love the books. I don't dislike the actors as people. I dislike them as those characters.
Same.
That
was my problem.
The actor they chose to play Christian Grey, no.
Not.
You could have picked several other humans.
Yeah.
Right?
That was my main qualm with it. I did not have a problem with the books. It was an intro to a new world. That was not anything that I was familiar with.
Right.
So that was very intriguing. But the world that I created and the characters I built did not look like the ones they used for the movies.
No. He looked too nice to
me. I couldn't.
Yeah.
I needed a darker,
male protagonist. I
needed someone who was not an asshole, but definitely a little more cockier and a little more it's that confident, cocky line, right? You need
the alpha line.
Yes.
So he wasn't who they chose for me was not alpha enough.
Yes. Yes.
It just wasn't.
It wasn't.
And I remember seeing everybody was going nuts. They're like, let's just, and there were people who were like, no, not right. No. And there were other people like, this is the perfect choice and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I can't.
And isn't that so interesting to see some people are like, absolutely not. And some people are like, this is exactly what I pictured. Exactly. Because that's the beauty of the books is that you build your own world and you have we're all given the same information.
But you build it according to your preferences.
How you're using it.
Right?
Yes.
How do I see this type of person in a way that appeals to me? Right?
Yes.
And that guy didn't do it.
Yeah.
I felt like I could break him like a twig, and I was like, that doesn't seem fun.
That doesn't seem like the whole point of all of this.
Little opposite of what is supposed to be happening here.
Correct.
And so I didn't watch. And again, I disliked the books in a way that it didn't make me want to see the movies.
Yeah. I feel I read them during the time that they were very hyped.
Right.
And
same.
If you've been listening, I have a problem with hype books
because with hypes.
I'm just not sure if it's going to be that good or if people are making it be that good.
Right.
Right. And so for me, it didn't feel like the steamy, spicy parts fit into the story.
Correct.
They felt like they were written for shock and awe.
Mm-hmm. Which is not the way I read books. If you're going to put spice in something, make it good spice.
Weave it in.
Yeah, exactly.
And I understand, it fit the theme. And yet, when it came to the videos, God, I'm so old. When it came to the movies,
VHS.
Be kind, rewind.
The Blu-ray.
When it came to I was like, first of all, I saw the guy and I was like, no, thank you. And then second of all, I was like, there's no way they're going to be able to go into any kind of detail on the spicy bits because that's not even going to be a rated R movie at that point.
No, and some of it was so internal. A lot of what happened in the books was from her perspective.
Yes.
Internal thinking, right? It was mostly a lot of it wasn't dialogue, which it isn't usually at that point, but it's very hard to, unless you're narrating it, to portray those pieces in film because you're not seeing what she's thinking. You're not hearing it. And if you are narrating over that portion, you're taking away from...
You're being pulled out of that story.
Yeah. And so... it probably wasn't set up great for them to make it into a movie.
Maybe. But I didn't see it, so I don't know.
No. Again, I saw clips.
I have my opinion judging it.
Right, but I saw clips of it. Like
yeah.
I saw clips of different pieces of it. You know, I mean, TikTok shows you pictures. There's
Yep.
there's certain shows I've watched the entire way through because they've only been on TikTok.
On TikTok,
right? But it doesn't make me want to watch the movie.
Right.
Call the Midwife is not a book, I don't think, but it's definitely a show that I saw while scrolling on TikTok so many times that I decided to go and watch the show.
Okay.
So there are, like, if it's done well enough, 50 Shades didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch it.
Makes sense to everybody. Everybody has a different opinion. I don't know where I was going with that, but everybody has a different opinion.
They do.
And I know it was hugely popular, so.
100%. And still is for a lot of people.
Very curious.
Yep.
Yes. What else is there? What else is coming to mind?
Right? I was like, so we've done...
There's been a lot of series to movies.
Yes. I mean, you go all the way back to Lord of the Rings. I have a copy of The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
Like a copy, like a fancy copy that my oldest got when he was like for a baby shower. It was a baby shower gift.
Cute.
And it was like, I hope that you enjoy reading this story to your child as much as I loved reading it, you know, when I was growing up. Have I read it to him? No, because I wasn't into The Hobbit, right?
Right.
And also, he probably wouldn't understand it until right now.
Right.
He's double digits now. So obviously, now is probably the right time.
But also, that's a fantasy world, and
that is a whole world of things.
Yeah.
And people get super into it and stuff like that. And I love that because it has such a following. I will say that I want to say I saw all of the movies in the theater.
Mm-hmm.
I was only awake for one. And I don't usually fall asleep in movie theaters, but I definitely fell asleep for both of the, like, for two of the three. I don't know how many, but at least two of them I fell asleep in. And that was when movie theaters would come out with, like, the reclining chairs. Your girl, you play some of that, like, really nice Hobbit style music and turn the lights. I'm out. Apparently, I'm not in it to win it. I'm out
Hobbit
like
style,
right? Hobbit style. Like you get a little like your little like your Irish flutes, and I'm like night.
Get a little jiggy.
Right, I'm like getting Buenos Noches.
Yes.
So, but I know like those, and I had gone with a whole group of friends, so it wasn't just like me going. It was a whole group of us in high school that were going to see these movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but there are a lot of movies that I don't realize are books until afterwards, like you said with the shows.
Right.
Where all of a sudden it's like based on the book, and I'm like, the what?
Yeah, wait.
The
what?
who now?
I didn't know. So if you do know that there's a series of books and they have been made into movies, which are you going for first?
It depends on the genre, eh?
Okay.
If it's a genre that I really like and I have time, sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'll probably read the books first because I'd rather watch the movies all together. Yeah. So I will wait till all of the movies come out.
Yeah.
The same reason, like, I will, if I'm watching a TV series, I would rather wait till the entire series is out. I don't do well with, like, Sunday night releases on TV shows.
And trying to remember where you were.
Don't even have cable, right? Because I can't, like, if you tell me, oh, we're going to release it every Sunday, every Monday, or whatever, tell me again in 6 weeks.
I'm going to forget the storyline.
Yeah. I have to go back and watch.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm such an instant gratification person that I want to know what happens, which is why I love a documentary.
Yeah.
Because you've got a whole story in one viewing or 3 episodes, right? I can do 3 episodes in a row and it'd be done. Easy.
Yes.
It's an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm in.
Totally.
And that's the equivalent of a movie. So I'm always books first. And then if I want to watch the movie, I wait until all of the movies come out. What about you?
Well, most of the time I don't realize that there's...
'Tis a surprise.
Right? It's a total surprise. I would say I probably gravitate more towards movies.
Fair.
First. Simply because I know the time it takes to get through a book series and carving out that time. And if I can consume that in like a 2.5 hour period and I have the main story, then I can decide if I want to go and spend the time reading the books.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple. Like I said, I did like the Harry Potter movies, and I've heard people say the books are even better, which I thought the movies were great. So I'm like, okay, that is one I will go and visit. So I think if I know about it, I will definitely go movies first.
That's fair.
Just to get an overview before I invest time and money. It
does the work of, as you said before, creating the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to do that part.
It's a little bit easier to get into.
It makes the read a little easier for sure.
Yes.
There are plenty of others, right? But like I said, I'm such a book first that sometimes I don't even realize that there's
You don't even
out
realize,
there.
yes.
Like, oh, that's a thing. So I don't know. I just love my books.
Yeah.
I love my books, but I love being able to see. There are certain books that I would love to see as movies.
Yeah.
Right? So the Avatar series right now, that's really popular.
That could be. We still have time.
We still have plenty
Very
of time.
popular.
We do, but at the same time, there's an option for, not even an option. They do these things called like, I don't know if they're like, I think they called them like the Starfall Ball or something, which is something that happens in the book, right? And they have a ball called the Starfall Ball. I'm not giving anything away, but it is where you can like go as a real person today. Like you can dress up and go like, and participate in this thing, which is super sweet. And they had one that some well-known creators from TikTok had gone and dressed up for, right? And the way they, especially my favorite character, the way the human who portrayed my favorite character, like, looked in this, just for this, like, PR, Starfall Ball, whatever thing, or whatever he was doing, I don't even know what it was. I remember being like, this is the man.
Is that what you built in your head?
He was exactly what I built in my head.
Yes.
He fit perfectly. I was like, if you don't cast this man in whatever you do, like... Yes. I'm never watching another thing again. Like he was so, to the point that today I'm still like, he was so perfect.
Yeah.
And it was him and one of the other side characters were both done really well. And then there's a gentleman whose voice has been used on TikTok recently as one of the main characters' voices. Like people are like, oh yeah, that sounds exactly like him. It's exactly what it sounded like in my head.
Interesting.
And I was like, damn. Like, and these are just normal everyday people. They're not actors.
Love a good
they're not
cosplay.
Right.
And when it's done well, it's amazing.
And I would love to get into cosplay. Like I would love to be somebody who's able to do that. But
so much effort.
Right, but I'm not. I don't have it. I don't have the confidence. I don't have the skills. I don't have I just don't have it. I love watching it.
Oh, yeah.
And to be near it would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it's just not something that I'm good at.
It is a lot. It is a definite passion project for sure, like just the level, because it can go hokey really quickly.
Right.
If you aren't in 100%.
Yes.
So I love that it matched who you were seeing.
100%.
Because we all like to think we have unique opinions, and we're all individual snowflakes, but he plucked
it directly out of my brain and apparently several other people's brains.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Because then that's when people come together and they're like, oh my God, yes.
Exactly.
We love it.
Yes. And it was, I had seen the video about the same time that everything else came out. Like when I think everybody's content from that event came out at like the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just permeating my page, and I was like, this
views
is
from
lovely.
Every direction.
Right? I was like, this is great. Like I'm loving.
Yes.
And I also, great job out of him for sticking with it and being part of it and like sharing and like all those things, like really putting the time and effort in.
And who knows, that could be the exact launching pad that they need to be like, you know what? People actually give a shit. And they want a movie series. And you know what? Maybe I'll just wait for the movies to come out.
And if they do it well,
it'll be good.
I say yes. Because I really did enjoy the books.
Yeah.
So, and I know we'll talk about it another time, but because we'll get into our fantasy and our series.
Also massive.
They
get bigger to look at.
Yeah. They're not as big as the Crescent City ones though.
No.
Those are bigger.
Yeah, we're not even there yet.
Right? But they're good. So, and they're here should you want to steal one. Do you want to start it? Right? I'm like, I have
perhaps. They're here.
So I really give kudos to people who take a book and adapt it to film.
Yes.
Because I think, and I said it in the last episode, I'll say it here again, it's a risk.
Yeah.
It's a risk. And you're going to piss people off. You're going to make people real happy, and you're going to piss people off.
Right. Every time. It's going to be a huge divide, for sure. Yes. People will definitely pick a side.
You have to have the cojones to handle that, because it's going to suck. Like, you're going to get backlash because it's not going to fit somebody, and whoever it doesn't fit is going to be loud.
Some people are going to be very upset. Some people are going to be very happy.
Yeah.
And then, the divide just goes from there. But I think that's fantastic, because it's so interesting to see how everybody depicts things differently.
Yep.
Yes. Also, side note, kind of, when we were talking about The Darkest Minds.
Yes.
In the previous episode. Yes. So I read in that book that they had actually made that into a movie.
Did they?
And I believe it was it was on Disney from like maybe 2018, 2019.
Really?
Like it was an early 2020 maybe. And I was like, I do not remember this at all. So when I finish the book, I'm going to look up and see if I can find the movie.
That's fair.
We'll see. So yeah, it's very interesting, the things that they're taking that maybe aren't as mainstream, or maybe I'm just late. Like I said, the movie came out in like 2019, 2020.
Which is actually not that far away.
It's not.
When you think about a lifespan.
And there was a lot happening during that time. So
you don't say.
Who's to know? They just snuck it in there, you know?
Right.
You didn't realize it. But yes, lots of books to movies. So I really have a good feeling that the ACOTAR series is going to become a movie.
My fingers and my toes are 100% crossed because your girl would love to see it. I want to see it done right. But I'm not as worried about that one because it is so fantasy. It's not as fantasy as some of the others that she's written, right? Yeah. I think that's a really good, if you haven't done the fantasy thing, you're a good intro.
That's a good intro.
A good intro to fantasy. Because you still got humans. There's humans in the book.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the whole premise. And so I think I'm not worried about that one moving into a movie because you can depict it in so many ways.
Yeah.
Right? Because the way that I've seen a lot of predictions of the female character are not what I thought, but I also didn't give her a lot of features when I read it.
Right.
Because most of the books are about her. So yeah, you're looking around like you're in the world and she's part of it. She's just the main character in most of it. So I don't see her with the features.
So
she's
you're
a
looking
female.
through her eyes a lot more than...
Ish.
Okay.
Ish, but at the same time, it's not... They give you details of what she looks like, but it didn't matter to me as much as what the rest of the world looked like.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because you're like, I'm just the vessel.
Yeah, I'm just happy to read it. And there are times where I don't give people features.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I get it, you're the main character, you're the person I'm looking through, and I don't need to know, like...
Blah, 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 describe the world.
Right?
Tell me what I'm looking at. Yes.
What do the trees look like? What does it smell like? What does it sound like? And they do a really good job in those books of that. But
nice.
Another episode, another time.
Right? So now I think the only question is, which movie book series am I jumping into next?
Right?
So
I think I'm
many
show
options.
more than movie. I think I have to jump into a show, but I have to read.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I have to read True Blood before I can jump into the show.
Yes.
And then that'll be my next.
And then we'll have an update.
Right?
On what she thinks.
Exactly. We'll have
Fresh.
to see. Once I get through, how many books are 12? There's a shit ton of books.
There are a shit ton of books. But
it looks pretty on my shelf.
It is very pretty. So colorful.
I will eventually put a photo on the Instagram of that book series.
Yes.
So when this episode comes out,
you'll see it.
I'll do that.
If you haven't seen it.
Right? It's a Purdy.
Yeah.
Got it from Amazon. So
love
it was gifted from Amazon.
A Purdy series. For sure.
Anything that's going to look good on my shelf, really.
Bright and colorful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The perfect treasure.
Right. Good name for another book.
Yes.
We digress. Anyway.
Dibs.
Let us know what movies we missed, right? What books and movie adaptations we missed, because there are so many.
There are a lot.
And what it was that you thought, are you a book to movie person? Do you read books first? Do you watch movies first? We clearly do both. And so I don't think there's a right way or a wrong way. I think it's just a preference. Yeah. As is with all books.
Right? We love it. And that's why we're here, to build the community and the conversation, because there really are so many, we'll never get to them. So if we could watch the movies and cheat our way through, why not?
We'll check it off there. So let us know. And we look forward to seeing you on the next one. But until then, read on.
See ya.
It was great to have you join us for today's chat. If you'd like to continue the conversation, provide a recommendation, or simply say hi, pop over to Instagram at wine.read.wine. Also, if you're the review type person, we'd love for you to subscribe and leave us an honest review on your favorite podcast player. Or leave us a comment on our YouTube channel. We'll see you on the next episode. Happy reading!